Hey, you guys. So, I have been getting lots of amazing questions over this past year regarding my healing journey from adhesive arachnitis, Tarlov cyst disease, and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. They're all three rare diseases and they're considered incurable, but they are treatable. And I went from almost completely bedbound to and not being able to sit without assistance and for a very short amount of times to now being on my fourth video I'm recording today, sitting here in this chair with my legs, like propped up. I got my knee like right here. And that's just the way I used to sit before all this happened, before I couldn't sit. So I'm gonna get overwhelmed. Every day is literally a miracle now. Every day. All right. So I've answered in some of the previous videos, which I'll link below, like how did I know I had Tarlov cyst disease or adhesive arachnitis or Ehlers-Danlos, and I've answered those kind of one at a time. And now basically what I'm going to go into is how I got better from each one of those and how I'm getting better from each one of those. So how did I get better from Tarlov cyst disease? First of all, it was a structural issue. There was actual nerve compression at the nerve root, and I am kind of crunchy, kind of granola, and I literally tried every holistic thing I could to try to heal it before ever even considering any kind of pain management or intervention. So I can honestly say that by the time I got to the answer of having this nerve reconstructive surgery, which was just such a hard decision to make, first of all. But by the time I got to that decision, I knew. I mean, I had confidence that the Lord had led me there, and I just did it in faith, and I'm really glad I did. It was not sugar coated for me. He told me that it would be a 1 to 2 year recovery, and I may have permanent nerve damage after that 2 years. But the goal was to stop the crazy amount of progression that was happening in my body. In 1 year, I went from, being able to go with my kids and do all the normal stay-at-home mom stuff and take them to all the places and do all the fun things you do with a newborn, a 2 and a 4-year-old, to needing to use a wheelchair and a walker to get around the house and having to lay down probably 90% of the time by the end of that year because of how much severe pain and massive symptoms I was experiencing in a constant 24-hour a day cycle. It just didn't stop. So by the time I got to him and he told me the goal was to relieve that compression surgically, I was willing to take that chance. One of the questions I asked him was that if I am I risking paralysis? And he said, no, it's different when you're working on the sacral nerves. If anything, it would be damage to things like my bladder or my bowel or having permanent numbness or sexual dysfunction. But I was already having all those things. So for me, it was worth the risk because I was already suffering in all those areas. Everything from my ribs down was suffering. And bladder and bowel issues are not fun, and sexual dysfunction is not fun, and not being able to feel things, but then having severe pain on the other end of that pendulum is not fun. And I'm sorry for those of you that are in that position right now and going through that, and I know what that's like. And nobody understands it unless they go through it. So I'm really sorry. And if there's anybody that's not, taking you seriously in your life, I just pray that you could take those images at least to a Tarlov cyst expert, Dr. Feigenbaum, Dr. Schroet in California, Feigenbaum's in Dallas, Texas. They will review those images and give you their best opinion, even over the phone. I think they do free consults or very, very, very low cost consults over the phone or via Zoom. So, going to that expert, having those expert eyes look at this, because here's the thing, guys, when you get into this world of chronic illness and something that doesn't just go away with a treatment or a pill, you kind of start seeing the medical system from a different perspective, because you become part of a different part of the system. Before that, I was always the going in for wellness exams and going to, do all the things you're supposed to do preventative, and then, go in for like small little minor things, and then they'd be better, When you get into the chronic side of things, it's just very different. And what I finally had to realize is, even though my general practitioner and the pain management doctors and rheumatologists and all those people and neurologists, even though they didn't see what was going on, it makes you feel crazy for a while. But eventually, and this is what I want to encourage you, you realize, hey, the reason people like specialize in a niche or a certain field is because you don't learn all the things you need to learn about something that needs specialization. Like, we would not go to our primary care physician for cancer treatment, would we? No. And we wouldn't expect to get advice from our primary care physician about cancer treatment, would we? No. So why are we feeling so bad when all of the pain, all the doctors who aren't Tarlov cyst surgeons and haven't worked with Tarlov cyst patients, why are we so, beating up on ourselves and thinking that we're just imagining all of it when we're not? We're clearly not. Just because they don't know. Why would we expect them to know? I mean, literally, there are over 7,000 rare diseases, and we just luckily got one. I got 3. Woohoo! But I mean, seriously, primary care physicians are not going to be knowledgeable in those rare diseases, and that's okay, you guys. It's okay. It's all right. And the hard part about rare disease treatment is finding out what you're even treating, and so I know you know what I mean with that. Finding out that you even have a Tarlov cyst was like a big deal, and then finding out that there was something called Tarlov cyst disease. What? Nobody tells you that. Most commonly, they were taught for many, many years in the medical schools that they were incidental findings. I can confirm that they're not taught that anymore, at least not by the training that one of my friends went through as a OBGYN. She happened to learn about Tarlov cyst about the same time I was referred to Dr. Feigenbaum, and that was another cool God thing, because it was such a confirmation that I was going to the right person. Like, doctors knew about him and people who were done with med school were learning about him and continuing education, and that they could be symptomatic sometimes, rarely, but sometimes. So anyways, what did I do to get better from Tarlov cyst disease? I got surgery. Not everybody does. I know there's a Tarlov cyst friend that I met in the group that she never had surgery. She went straight into this right here, the Walls protocol, before she ever had any intervention in her spine. And after a year of like hardcore doing everything in that book, she got out of her bed and was feeling better than she ever had in her whole life. So I'm not saying it's impossible to heal without surgery, because she obviously did it. I've never met her in person, but I mean, from what I know from talking to her online and with videos and stuff, that's what I know. And that's been my life for 6 years while I was bedbound, is everybody I know is online. So maybe if I had known about the Walls protocol before my surgery, you bet your butt I probably would have tried it. But, I didn't, and that's okay. That wasn't my path. But for me, I had to have that surgery. I had to remove the compression from those 10 nerve roots, because I had Tarlov cysts on all 10 sacral nerve roots, left and right. So boom, got it done. It was a long recovery. And in the process of my recovery, I found out I had another rare disease that made things really complicated. But I did wake up from that surgery without feeling that horrible spiky golf ball inside my bottom, or feeling like I was sitting on the tippity top pointy edge of a mountain. Those were 2 classic Tarlov cyst symptoms that left after surgery. Now, I still had pain, I still had pressure, but those were very specific feelings that were gone, and that was such a miracle. So Nothing healed quickly. It was really, really rough recovery. And then things got worse a year and then 2 years later. So again, there was layers to my healing journey, and other pieces of the puzzles that had to be found. But surgery was a big part of healing from Tarlov cyst disease, and also treating neuroinflammation, which I will go into in other videos. So if you would like to ask me any more questions, if there's something I only barely touched on and you'd like to know more, please feel free to ask questions in the comments below, and I will answer them as quickly as possible. Thank you guys so much, and God bless.